bikes in one of the groups, and he was like, "Hey, I saw your bike. Do you want some batteries?"
It's the
I've
cost
got to
of
lie
cells.
because
is the problem.
this is interesting.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
got to lie.
I spent 3 days looking at this, and it's the cost of cells is the problem because all the cell pricing is going through the roof.
Didn't I send you, Ian, that link for those cheap batteries for that 40? Didn't I send you a link?
Let me just have a look because there's a difference between cheap batteries and ones that will do it. This is the problem because let me just have a look which ones you sent.
Well, cheap batteries would work for a power wall if there are many of them.
Yeah, so
numbers.
Double as a fire starter too.
Yeah,
well, no.
Exactly. The batteries I sent Ian are the gel cell pack ones where you put them together and then you put them in. Is it parallel? I forget. And then you link them all together. You link them together to make a pack. But my friend has ordered them, Ian. So I will actually know shortly because what that link I sent you that time has been ordered. They are coming. He's ordered the BMS for it and the inverter for it, and it'll be a 14 kilowatt hour system, and it'll cost about $3,000 to build. And that's reality. You can do it. Don't get me wrong. I get that the quality of packs can be hit and miss.
Yeah, well, in that video, he's showing the EVE cells, which are the 280 Life 4s, which are good, but if you price, how much are they charging for those cells over there? Let's have a look.
But use that company link that I gave you, and you should see that you can buy the lot for cheap.
Yeah, 280 amp hour, grade A
brand new cells would be more expensive for sure. Yeah. Reclaimed car cells still have pretty good life in them because they're rated pretty high, and in a power wall you don't really use them like they're supposed to be used. And if you limit the voltages low and top end, basically calendar age is gonna kill them before you cycle them to death.
Yeah, because I've got the link here, Mark. Because what it was 4 cells, 800 quid. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
What?
That's the 4 6.
What cells are those? Jesus.
280 milliamp hour. The part 3.2s, Life 4s. So PO4s. So that's 200, and they're selling them in 4s to get you to 12 volt a pack. Basically, that's what's on that link, and that's £800 a pack. Now that it is only about £1,000 per 2.4 kilowatt off the shelf right now, which is full battery managed, full manufacturer.
Well, I just told you about a 240 euro option for about the same capacity, maybe even a little bit more.
That's a good deal.
But that's actually using lithium ion cells. But as long as you know how to use them, I mean, my power wall right now in my workshop is 2.2 kilowatt hours made up of 18650 cells reclaimed from laptops, although brand new laptop batteries.
Okay.
So they've never been used before I got them, and I have like 600 of them, and it's been working for years now without a BMS even. And I connect, and get this, every couple of months I connect that ISDT little battery cell checker that has the 50 milliamp balance function. I connect that every few months, sometimes 6 months, and I let it balance. It's a 6S pack, and I let that thing balance it for a few days. It evens it out, but it's not that bad, if it manages to even it out with 50 milliamps. It works for a few days, and then it's good for another few months. So,
I mean, one of the big things is having the right inverter, because if you don't have the right inverter, that's half your battle. So.
Well, you need a pure sine wave inverter, and you need something, chunky, something with a bit of a grunt, or 2 of them, 2 smaller ones, if depending on what you want to power. My end goal is to be able to at least charge my motorcycles, and potentially even my car at some point.
If I was going to do it, I was looking at doing full grid tie, and the next problem has been now the grid tie inverters with battery capacity have almost doubled in bloody price
Yeah.
because everyone is looking at this.
Suddenly,
Everything
yeah.
is just going up and up and up. I priced $6,000 would give me 10 kilowatt of fully grid tied storage.
Wow.
And the math is you would almost be better borrowing that $6,000 from the bank because you're basically offsetting your energy cost over. If you did it, you can basically offset your energy cost. Now, the problem is winter. Winter is the real problem. You know, if I look at my very small solar system at the moment in the workshop, will deliver about 12 kilowatt a day in summer. But in winter, I could be as low as half a kilowatt. So that's
Ian,
where the problem is.
Ian, so here's my question. Ian,
That happens to all the channels, don't worry.
Ian, here's a question for you though. So when you did your sums, Ian, did you count on looking at an Octopus Go account where you can charge the battery at night from about 12:30 to 4:30? You can charge it for about 7p a kilowatt, and then
No,
burn that
because you
power.
can't sign up for that tariff right now. They've shut all of the tariffs. Have you tried looking at electric tariffs? They've closed them all. So you can't change the tariff. Yeah, everything is closed. You can't even sign in to a new electricity deal. They will only let you go on variable rate now. Go on EDF, go on all of them. They've cut because of the price has all gone to nuts. They've all gone, we're not doing anything.
Wow. Okay. So I've got a little bit of luck then. That's what we're saying because I've got the Octopus Go.
Regardless,
Thank God fusion is
how
only
you're
10
gonna-
years away.
They said that 10 years ago, didn't they, get Bruce?
And 10 years before that.
What about
10
these
years before
seawater
that.
these seawater
Yeah.
batteries? Seawater's
yeah.
next.
Yeah,
Is it
that looks good. That looks good. Well, it's in sodium ion. Sodium ion, is that right?
There's a
Sodium
really
ion.
good article on that channel that does a lot of the tech stuff. The amount of money that GE put into saltwater batteries, it was hundreds of.
Well, that's the thing,
millions.
isn't it? All these companies are building battery factories, and all it needs to happen is a breakthrough in battery technology, and all that money's down the drain because the new technology will take over, and companies that haven't built their battery factories will be ahead of everybody else. It's a difficult time to be pouring a lot of money into battery manufacture.
Hello.
Even Tesla's
now
in
you can
China,
hear me.
isn't
Can
it,
you hear
those
me
things?
now?
Yeah.
I'm afraid so.
All right.
Yeah.
I plugged in my headphones and the computer switched microphones, so I had to do that in the settings. So about the charging at night, regardless of what you're gonna do and how you're gonna use them, of course, that can be part of the whole setup to charge at night at the lower rates and combine that with solar, whatever. For me, that penny pinching calculation, you'd be better off borrowing blah blah blah, or not even doing it because it's too expensive, blah blah blah. That whole shit goes out the door the moment the grid goes down for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So
They're not used to that in England.
I think that in any case, it would be better off, as long as you can afford it, as long as you're willing to spend the money to get a battery, whatever capacity, and have the ability to go off grid. If something happens and the grid goes off, and it happens, I don't know about the UK, but here every now and again it happens. Outside of the big cities, it happens a lot. So for me, there's a lot of value in that, even if your recuperation time for the investment goes up by a few years. So what? You've got electricity all the time. You've got a backup. You can be off grid. You don't care what happens with the grid. That penny pinching shit is so annoying. No offense to
How do you
anyone.
charge your EV, man?
Yeah.
Well, it's not penny pinching. Not everyone can spend $6,000.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Depending on how much you're willing to spend.
Yeah, but my argument is you are almost better borrowing the money and putting it in that than paying your energy provider. To give you an idea, I spend about £180 a month on energy right now. If the numbers get to where they think they're going to go, I'm going to be paying £600 a month.
Wait, you're generating 12 kilowatts a day and you're paying 200 quid a month for electricity in addition to that?
Yeah, because most of the burn is out of daylight hours. That's the reality.
You don't have a battery. Okay.
No.
Right.
But our average
we can't trust Ian with batteries. We've seen what happens when we do that.
No,
my daily energy consumption is about 24 kilowatts.
Wow.
So this is where electric vehicles will be really advantageous, because all they are is a huge battery on wheels. You can charge them up during the day at work, bring them home, and it powers your house in the evening.
Yeah.
And just put into reality, so Ian's paying 180 quid a month for electric. I've got a 5 kilowatt system on my roof, and just to annoy Ian, I pay about 30 quid a month, 20 quid a month.
You're one person.
But you're single, yeah.
True, but my house is typically pulling about 500 to 600 watts all the time, 24/7. So there's 2 big pond pumps outside. So my house does run, if you like, but because of the solar, it does make a massive difference.
Yeah.
And what about the one day of the month when you have a shower? It must put the rate up a bit.
Yeah, so the shower is I only shower when it's sunny.
Why it's annual. It's why it's annual.
Yeah, my biggest issue is our drain is between 6 and 10 o'clock, 6 and 11 at night. You know, now I'm burning 500 watts right here.
Yes.
At this desk, because that's burning 350, 400.
Switch to LEDs.
I am.
Those incandescent bulbs. Not a good deal anymore.
It's the vibrating chair that uses it all.
Yeah. There's a lesson of eggs in baskets and privatized energy as well as water firms. There's going to be some serious questions asked.
I think the biggest problem is people don't grasp it's world gas prices are the problem, and that's the problem. As soon as you take Russia,
it's an artificial construct from the big companies, really.
You see, it's artificial, but the problem is, right? Every country that's gone, we're not touching Russia gas, has had to source it from somewhere else, which just means all the companies that would supply gas that aren't in Russia can go, oh, really? You're not going to buy the Russian gas, but that means you're going to pay. You're all bidding against each other as well. Oh, that's quite nice. That is. So they're kind of going like this, which is why the likes of Shell or BP, they're making a fortune now because gas is still costing the same to them. Just extracting it.
Yeah, but the difference is, if you lived in Spain, you'd be getting free public transport now, but you're not over there because the Tories dare not enforce any sort of windfall tax on these companies. They've done a tiny one, haven't they? But that's already been swallowed up, Rishi Sunak's one, because the number was too low. So it's an artificial construct. It's more nuclear.
Do you not think though that all these countries? I mean, France has capped it. For example, they capped theirs. And the problem is they're going to push their countries into a lot of debt as well. Because
none of them are in as big a recession as the UK is going into. So
anyway.
You say that, but
drone deliveries will save us all.
Yeah,
drone deliveries will save us all. We better start talking about that.
People lose in recession. Recessions aren't always bad for everyone. That's the bizarre thing. So everyone goes, "Oh, recession," and I agree, it's not good. But there are a lot of people that will win, and there'll be a lot that lose.
Recessions is just
like
the
number that win are a smaller number than the lot that lose.
Recession is like high interest rates. The rich get richer, the middle ground get poorer, and the poor can virtually not survive because the rich benefit off the interest they get from the higher interest rates. The only people that benefit in this situation is the rich already.
And that's why Ian's not worried.
And I'm screwed.
Yeah, I wish.
And I'm just
at least you got a hybrid car. Right. let's actually move on to drones, shall we?
Oh, is it a
Let's
drone?
not do that
Oh, do
first.
we have
Let's
to?
Let's not do that first. Let's first move on to an ideal place to install a solar installation, and that would be a high building on an airfield. Tomorrow's a big day, isn't it, Bruce?
Yeah, the council decides the fate of our airfield tower. I'm pretty sure it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to vote to knock it down, but we've put up the best fight we can, and it's not over till the large lady has a bit of a song. And so there will be I'm sure there'll be a media reaction if the council is silly enough to say, damn the facts, damn the evidence, damn the logic and reason, we're going to knock it down anyway. Oh, we'll see what happens.
Shame. Well, it's a great shame. And it just seems as an almost a spiteful action, really, a pointless action, as it performs it's not harming anyone there, is it? I suppose it does get rid of an obstruction. You've got a tiny bit more airspace to use at the airfield.
Yeah, it's pretty well known that it's a personality thing. There are some with personality-based agendas, and they will not be derailed from their course of action. And that's what you get when you get people, I believe, who are incompetent in positions of power. It happens all over the world. I mean, look what happens everywhere. You get the situation. People, what's the good of power if you can't abuse it? I think that tends to be the way most people look at it.
Very, very true. So there really has been. Everyone's gone on holiday. There's been very, very little drone news this week. Very, very few stories.
Is it the hangover after Farnborough?
Yeah. Perhaps a little bit. Maybe I think it's probably the hangover from the RID ruling. I think people will go, oh my word, it's real.
Yeah, I'm still surprised at the lack of response. So people are just sitting there waiting for it to happen, like walking into the blades of a helicopter.
Well, I think the thing I'm amused at is people saying, well, what can we do to, there's a few I've seen saying, what can we do to stop it? I said, well, get interested about 5 years ago. Would be my response. And it's horrible that they've picked up the ASTM standard, because I think they used to be $75 a standard, but I think they're $100 a standard now. So that's the
FAA should buy the rights to that standard and publish it freely, because they're expecting people to comply. How would I know if my remote ID system was compliant if I don't have the standard to compare it against? You've just got to take the word of and it's self-certifying. So you could find yourself in breach of the law, not through any fault of your own, because you're unable to verify for yourself that the system you're using is compliant. It also rules out open source pretty much, because if you don't have a standard to work from, and someone buys the standard, it has to be part of the open source project. You can't republish that because the rights are owned by the ASTM. So anyone that wants to work on it has to buy their own copy. It's just a dog's breakfast. Standards should not be, they should all be open, public domain.
Why don't we all put 20 quid in, buy it, and it accidentally leaked online?
I should imagine there'd be all manner of ASTM's quite a big organization. There's probably all sorts of ways that would come after you.
There'd be takedown notices everywhere. And besides, instead of us all putting 20 quid in, just let Gary buy it.
Yeah.
Gary, and put it on SUS News.
Is there anything to say that you can't read it live on stream, page by page?
Well, I think you will borrow. People can borrow it.
Bedtime.
Digital borrowing is a thing, Only one person promises to look at it at one time, therefore it's not being copied.
I'm just wondering what would happen if it ended up on a random Google Drive link. It just.
That issue of takedown, and Google would have to take it down straight away. I mean, how Google works. Yeah, they can.
You can't. They wouldn't take it down. You can't get hold of Google.
Yeah, true.
We just need to put it on YouTube. You can't get hold of anyone at YouTube, right? They'll never get it taken down.
If you dressed it up as spam, then it wouldn't go. They'd leave it. Or as a fraudulent advertisement, they'd leave it.
A drone developed by former engineers, then you'd get away with it. Yeah.
So hang on. If you pay for it, right? So I paid to have this standard. Surely you're allowed to then read it out on the internet, what you've paid for.
It's a public performance of a licensed work. That's illegal.
Hey, there you go. That's the right answer, isn't it? Very good, Bruce. Very good. Yeah.
So could you do a reaction video to it?
Oh, God.
So you can have it as a reaction video.
One of the defining factors, though, is that your fair use must not adversely affect the market for the original. And I think you'd find that it would do that. So it wouldn't classify for fair use.
Yeah, but YouTube wouldn't care because it's a reaction video. They go, no, he's reacting to something. So one of us needs to film reading it, and then you have to have one of us reacting to it. And then
you
Google She wouldn't do it.
You could do a what would you call it? A compatible spec of your own, one that was compatible in every way, but not the original specification. Use pounds and inches instead of the SI system.
I suspect that the whole document would be really quite thin and be based around Kenji's patent. I should imagine. Also, just like that, very, very thin. But yeah,
well, I was on Ken Heron's stream on Thursday night live. Yeah, did you see that? And I basically said, you know, it's up to Kenji now. If Kenji's the only man that can stop this, and he's promised he's for the hobby, I bet you he's not. Same, he works with Vic Moss, and Vic Moss says, "Oh, I'm for the hobby," but I don't believe these guys, and that's the problem. Those are two of our hobby representatives on the ARCs, you know, with the FAA, and they're not hobby at all. They are commercial, masquerading as hobby. The FAA has very carefully chosen the members, so the only real hobby members we have is Dave from the the FPV Freedom Coalition.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's just integrity. Sorry, Kenji, but I'm not for going on to committees and then rushing out and quickly sort of creating a patent based around what you've heard in a closed room. I don't think that's very, very cool at all.
I think
that's just a morality issue,
Gary. I think if it was done in the financial markets, it would be illegal. It would be the term.
Insider trading.
It's not being funny. Let's not dance around the bush here. You are told something that you are involved in making a standard, and then you go out and patent something, which means you will directly benefit from that standard. That's insider trading. End of. The
interesting thing, would it stand up to prior art though? Because it really, we've got a version of ADSB, haven't we? It's just another form of ADSB.
Prior art in America doesn't seem to exist. It doesn't seem to exist. Yeah. They can get patents on anything.
I know, but the thing is, a patent is only a right to sue. The courts ultimately decide the validity of the patent. So, yeah. But I reckon instead of spending that money on RDQ's challenge, which was doomed to failure, even with Jonathan at the helm, going on the basis of constitution, never going to work. They should have said to Kenji, right, use your patent. We will fund the lawsuit against the FAA to enforce that patent. I would have put money into that.
Well, maybe it'll happen. Maybe I'll eat my words. And
well, there is a thing in the US law that says the US government may acquire a patent by compulsory means if it's going to benefit safety and security. So they just say, no, that patent's ours now. We're acquiring it. Here's your $5, your filing fee, and it's ours. And that's the problem. No capitalist society should work like that.
Safety in our game, safety is always the word. It's always the trump card that shuts the door on whatever else you want to do.
Well, wait till you see my documentary when it's done on the future of drone delivery. Safety is just, it's a joke. The first CME that comes along, as someone else pointed out on one of my things, if you've got all these drones soaring overhead, right, and autonomous air taxis and things, and someone comes along and jams the GPS frequency, that's better than dropping a bomb. Because you got all these bombs floating around the sky.
Well, that's exactly. Well, I don't know if we all saw the Schriebel S100 that went down in whatever that sea is near Norway, whatever that bit of water is. But previously, of course, one of those S100s went through the control cabin because of alleged GPS jamming when they're operating it and killed the operator. So that's one of the few big incidents I know, that helicopter. So jamming is definitely a thing, but that's going to go away. Dead reckoning. So jamming right now, dead reckoning does happen on both RG plane and RG copter.
But when you look at it, you've got to have set aside safe landing areas within dead reckoning distance. In an urban environment, that's very difficult. And all these drone delivery things, it's all urban. All these air taxis, it's urban. You go from the airport into the center of the city. You know, it's just not going to happen. There's no fallback. Everything in aviation has to have a Swiss cheese model. If that fails, then the next layer will catch you. There is no next layer.
No. Well, it's just not going to, for loads of reasons. I think we could make 5 different videos about why it's not going to work and come out with 5 different really good points as to why it's not going to work.
Yeah. If you're not allowed to fly your 900-gram Mavic over people, how can you fly an autonomous air taxi over people?
Yeah. Well, that's just not going to work because of physics. We're talking about how to generate and store solar power earlier. Well, just do what you need to store that. Oh goodness me, and the charging infrastructure required, and oh dear. It's just this. You're not going to be plugging it into your 13 amp socket when you get there and charging it up in 10 minutes, are you?
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen.
You power them with hydrogen, keep it in a large envelope above the craft and suspend the craft by ropes.
Yeah,
You'd have experience with that, would you, Gary, or something very similar?
Yeah, and you could take some sand with you or something, and some water,
but then did you see one of the proposals is that balloons have to give way to unmanned aerial vehicles. I mean, you as a balloon driver, or what do you call it, pilot or whatever. I mean, how practical is that, Gary?
It's close to impossible. It's adjacent to impossible. It's not impossible. Well, yeah, it is in a quick situation. It's impossible to get out of the way. You can only climb or descend.
Sorry. Someone came up with the idea in aviation. So some professional in aviation, you're telling me, came up with the idea of a air balloon has to avoid a drone. And this came from a professional. You sure?
It came from somebody shilling for AAM, yeah. Yes. And that would also mean, all model aircraft get out of the way. But just how much sky are they going to need for this? But yeah, just in time delivery. Something I can fly over the centre of London if I choose to in a balloon. So I could, in theory, stay at. I can't go below 1,500 feet though if I'm there. So they haven't, any town I have to climb up and out. You've got 2 minutes to get above 1,500 feet. I think it was.
Is that so you can glide safely to a landing point?
No, you're just got to obey the 1,500 foot rule once you're over a big conurbation. So you've got time to get up and don't have any in-flight emergencies. And in the centre of London, we actually we BS them by saying we're multi-engine, so we're all right because we're 4 burners, so multi-engine. So that's how we got rid of through the multi-engine performance zone there. But yeah, no, it's just nonsense. And none of these systems, the AAMs are all getting AAMs, the UTMs, some of them are getting quite excited now that RID is on its way and making noise, I guess, to gather VC capital. But
it's interesting though, comparing it to Richard's system, isn't it? Where when you look at it, Richard's is such an elegant solution to the problem without the need for all this rubbish that they're piling upon, the burden of compliance they're piling upon model flyers and drone flyers and things. Richard's thing just takes that away, and there'll obviously be a lot of pushback. It'll be very hard for him to get traction in the US because of all the big money lobbying politicians for the local product, won't it?
But but then also you get into the point where you've actually got to have systems that are working, aren't you? If there'll be pushback. I hear that, but if they get that working and it works nicely, then they won't be able to deny that it's a useful system. And in America, they won't get anything working because so many of those UTMs and so many of those lobbyists be voting for this. You do it this way, do it that way, do it the other way. Then nothing will happen. That's the Walmart thing. They're putting towers in for spotters to get around the BV loss thing. That's just ridiculous.
You would think Walmart, right, would have some smart people there, but obviously maybe not so smart. They will build the tower and then go and see Richard and go, "Can you put your system on this tower for us?"
Well,
you would think there will be something going on there. It's amazing that Walmart haven't heard of Richard's system, but then again, they are Americans, and Americans. What's the saying for Americans?
Well, they bought aircraft. Am I allowed to say that? Oh, I did, didn't I? They bought that, so they bought it for dime on the dollar or whatever that phrase is, for next to nothing. So they believe they've got what will turn into.
Well, so they wasted money. So they wasted money, is what we're saying.
Well, the airback people were clever and got out.
But every UTM so far that I've seen, apart from Richard's, requires something special. Where Richard's, once you're connected to their system, if you're flying in that corridor, it sorts out everything. You don't have to worry about anything else out there.
It doesn't affect other users. That's the other thing.
which is the critical bit. And I don't think these other people grasp for that. How to get a system to work that doesn't infringe other people's airspace rights or affect it, That's brilliant. That is actually a subtle piece of genius there, I hate to say.
Yeah, because a
Yeah.
bad actor can disrupt a UTM system as opposed in America, but in Richard's system, the bad actor is automatically not a problem. I see we got BMS Web in the chat.
Mm. Hello,
Mm.
BMS Web. I don't know
Yeah.
who that is. Sorry.
Australia. It's Australia. It's the whole of
It's
Australia.
Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, Australia.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, it's actually it's a bit of a sad another nothing to do with drones thing. A bit sad old Olivia Newton-John passing away. So
Yeah.
although she was British.
She was English though.
She was British, yeah, but
Yeah.
I kind of associated with Australia. That's
Yeah.
very sad news. The
And keeping it aviation wise, you see that guy, the black guy that was Magnum PI's helicopter pilot, someone Mosley, he died too.
no dear. Well,
Yeah. For all you Magnum PI fans.
Yeah.
Equally poor.
Very sad.
Yeah, no, UTMs and stuff like that. It's going to be interesting now. Actually, if BMS Web's in Australia, perhaps somebody can remind me, where are they at with their huge fee per model aircraft fee structure thing? Do you remember a couple of years ago that was muted?
Yeah, I think for commercial that's already in. I'm not sure about recreational. I think I don't know what the story. I haven't checked up recently, but I'm sure that BMS Web will tell us. They'll know. They're the whole of Australia.
The whole of Australia. It says so there. It's yeah, because they were going some very unreasonable fees. Unfortunately, I have a hunch that Australia will be one of the next ones that pick up Red. I hope Europe doesn't, and the UK doesn't pick up Red. Europe has to a certain extent, hasn't it? But hopefully the UK doesn't.
I love the way air regulators all leapfrog each other to be the worst. You know, it's terrible. Canada was the worst for a while, and then America's jumped ahead of them, and then FPV is almost illegal in Australia. It's like, oh.
I think YASA at the minute, I would give a YASA an award for the most stupid thing to have fitted to a drone is their flight termination system. Have you seen that? They deserve a medal for stupidity 101. And maybe I'm being a bit too harsh, maybe. However,
they always caused big problems at the Outback Challenge, didn't they? The termination systems, if they either trigger themselves.
I just use the ground; it works fine.
Yeah, it works very well. That's that's the arrestor system, isn't it?
If there's no trees around, that's your only option.
Here's the flight termination stupidity that I've managed to work out. You can have a Mavic Pro 2 that weighs 1,100 grams. And that is basically it. It's not designed to carry a lot of weight, as we know. The Mavic 2 Pro is designed to carry X weight, battery fits it. You get this device, and YASA say this device that weighs 165 grams. So you're weighing quite a bit. You're nearly what? You're not quite a fifth of the weight, are you? But you're not a million miles away. Quite, 165 grams on top of something that weighs 1,100 grams. That's quite a bit of weight that fits between the battery. So the battery is now not sat as it should do. It's now sat up. And this device sits in between that you can remote trigger, that then throws these 4 metal pieces out, and then it chops your propellers to bits because they get smashed to bits as the motor spin. Yeah. I am not kidding, right? To terminate the flights.
Ninja flight termination system.
If I send you the video, we could do a bit of a reaction to it. I don't know how.
Yeah, we can. We can.
Let me just try something, Gary. Let me just see if I can get
it up on there. I haven't seen this. It's not the sort of thing.
Let's hope he's not on the Pornhub tab, eh?
Have you got Dropbox, Gary? Gary, you got Dropbox?
No. Where's the video coming from? Is it not on the TubeDU?
No, it's on my hard drive, ripped off.
Just email it to me, mate. Just email it or Google Drive it to me.
1 second, to make sure the audio's there. Yeah, okay. You're going to love these flight termination systems. Sorry, what did you say to do to you? Google Drive it.
Google Drive it. Yeah. That'll be the easiest way. Yeah. All right then. So while that's arriving, we'll look forward to doing a reaction video to that shortly. The only real bit of droning news, I suppose, is the new DJI Mini Whoop thing. Whoop. I don't know how you're supposed to say it. And I just think, meh. And
isn't it just the DJI FPV drone in different clothes?
In some ways, yeah. It looks like it's going to be better in many ways, in the sense of they've probably sorted the image quality out. It's a very odd release. All bits of this feel very strange. You know, we've got, for what I can't recall the last time they've ever done this, but it looks like they're going to launch it with 2 packages. One of them supporting the old goggles. Now, the hint is the word on the street is they have an oversupply of the old goggle, so they need to use it up, which sort of makes sense. But it's odd for them to release a product that you don't actually have to buy a new set of goggles to use. That's very much not in DJI's usual marketing plan. We've had the leaked ear unit images today. We think we know enough, but until it comes out, we need to wait for the full details. The pricing is looking high. That's for sure. The pricing is looking high on the ear unit, high on the goggles, high on the drone. You know, it's another $1,300 product kit. And I'm just not sure how many people are spending that money right now. They've been doing a lot of offers this last few weeks. They've been sending a lot of emails about their other products. I can't imagine they're selling a lot in this market.
It's interesting. If I think if they'd put this product out before the FPV drone, it has sold really well. But I think some people will have been burnt a bit by the FPV drone. And if this isn't a proper freestyle with an acro mode, it's really just a Mavic, not quite a Mavic with FPV, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not stabilized properly. It's image stabilization, which is going to come at a cost. You know, everyone said, you know, electronic image stabilization, as good as it is, has a cost in image quality. You know, it's not free. And the best we've seen is GoPro. GoPro do it better than probably any of the others. I think it'll be okay. I think it's a strange product. I still think it's, you know, what was the pricing of the drone on its own? I didn't actually look at what the standalone pricing for the $629.
$600, yeah.
So you're talking potentially $629 and then another $150 per battery, because that's how they do it. We know this. I do wonder if they're going to struggle a bit. The world has sort of... Here's something interesting. If you look at the computer industry, there is a huge oversupply of computer components right now. We've gone from a situation where you couldn't get graphics cards and CPUs to... They're basically not giving them away, but they're reducing the cost overnight. We've got talk of them cancelling orders with fabs. That industry's in a bit of a meltdown. Drones are a luxury item for 99% of users. So it really isn't the time to be launching products that don't really take huge steps forward.
And you can't afford to charge either. Yes. Yeah, I know. Well, that's how it's left me. It's like meh, and there's not. We've been saying for a couple of years we've reached peak drone, a couple of Christmases really, and now it's like we're not. Each iteration isn't making as big a leap, which is great because that's how technology should be. But they must hurry up now and bring out some swarming industrial inspection systems around 250 grams or whatever.
Yeah, I think what'll kill Avatar or whatever it is that it's a 900-gram drone, isn't it? I mean, how much does it weigh? So it's not. You have to register it, and that's a lot of people bought the minis because you didn't have to register them. They just treat them like a toy. You just buy them and use them. But this is going to have to be registered, and I think that's going to be a bit of a threshold that they probably didn't really anticipate.
Well, what's interesting about this new DJI FPV one in the UK, so I'm going to talk about the UK-YASA rules because they're so close to each other that it's kind of the same. That if you fly an FPV, obviously you have the spotter with you. However, the rules on what transition period this actually will fit into, if you had your A2 CFC, so if you've gone out and got your A2 CFC, be it the YASA one or the UK one, what you're going to be able to do is, as long as you do not intentionally overfly someone, you can actually fly it the same as you do your Mini 2 in YASA and UK regs. So because it's sub 500 grams, the transitional weight is where it gets interesting. They have this A1 category where if it's sub 500 grams, you actually, as long as you do not intentionally overfly someone, you can fly it pretty much as you do the Mini 2. So its only restriction versus a Mini 2 flying is the overflight part.
Yeah, I wonder how well it's going to fly as well. If it's going to, people are going to try and get cinematic stuff with it. Ducted like whoops, they don't really cinema really that good unless you're lucky and it's really well tuned. And let's face it, the FPV drone wasn't that well tuned. It would shake and wobble and things. So have they been able to tune this to actually get a cinematic result with the ducts? Because the ducts really screw things up. Try diving a ducted quad and pulling out at the bottom and just see what happens. Most of them go all squirrely.
The biggest problem with the FPV drone was the weight on the arse end, wasn't it, Bruce? You know, it had that chunk of a battery hanging out the back, and that was not helping. It's a weird one because something Gary said was interesting. It's a product that basically has no new features. It's not smaller than anything else. It's not lighter than anything else. It's cut back. Its only special thing is that it's made for FPV. And it's got ducts. There's literally nothing special about this drone in any way or form. And this is almost getting, you're paying more for less.
Yeah. What's the camera like, Ian? Sorry.
Well,
do we know
they're
what
saying it's
like?
probably on par with the Mini, but it won't be because it's got image stabilization because it's only got a single axis gimbal. So you're going to be a step backwards. It's apparently a 1/1.7 sensor, which they'd have to use for the image stabilization because what they're going to have to do is probably an 8K sensor and crop in for the 4K image stabilized video. But it's only got downward facing sensors. There's no front sensors. It's got a camera and it got ducts. What is it? You know, what's new here?
Can I ask a daft question?
No.
Why do we need sensors for forwards? Can't people see where they're flying, or is there something to stop
But
them from
it's a feature
that eye?
DJI sell their products with. So and we don't need them.
And in response to that, Mark, watch the video I'm posting in the next couple of days. See what you know. You know that unbreakable whoop that I got from Foxy, yeah? And I said the only part you could possibly break is the camera. Yeah,
you broke it.
Yeah.
So my point is, right, people who buy a Mini, it quite clearly, a lot of people have come into the DJI world. The Mini 1, the SE, the Mini 2 don't have forward sensors. You know, and people moan or cry anti-collision. They need to go Specsavers. You know, I don't want to be mean or harsh, but you can quite clearly see where it's going. You can quite clearly screen where it's going, right? I kind of, you know, I know I'm being a little bit, but my rant is you shouldn't have to rely on sensors that are not even designed to go on the flipping thing.
So what?
They're not there.
But what are we paying $600 for? Because if you look at what this drone is, then okay, how much is a Mini 2 now? What's not a Mini 3? How much is a Mini 2?
549 for Mini
with a
2.
proper remote controller, right?
Right,
So 549 with the remote. They're talking about charging 649 for the drone only. The drone only has no front sensors. It has GPS. It has a battery, and it has some built-in prop guards. What are we paying for here? Because at the moment, we're getting ripped off.
Well, do you know what you're paying for? They've taken lessons from someone on how to rip us off. They took lessons from this company on how to be extortionate pricing.
But it's interesting.
Everyone loves Apple.
Yeah, but Apple, at least you get something for your money. Apple don't make phones and put less features on them. Every iPhone is better than the last in almost most ways. Is it quantifiably better? That's a different argument. How much better does the camera get? How much better is the processor?
It's only better than the last because they crippled the last one when they launched the new one by issuing a software update. The thing that's going to really rattle cages is that most people who fly DJI drones do it on their own. They go out with their drone, they fly because they've got a screen. If they put goggles on, they can't do it on their own anymore. They've got to have an observer. How many are going to realize this? And is that going to cause a lot of either people breaking the rules or a negative impact in the market for these products?
Cheap goggles,
Cheap goggles, cheap. Yeah,
second hand.
There will be that is something. That's a really good point. A lot of people are going to sell up to the new goggles, especially if they're compatible with the older units. We don't know yet, but the fact they're OLED, the fact that they look like they're going to be a decent upgrade, there will be a huge amount of people probably shifting over to these new Goggle 2. So there'll be a lot of people probably being able to get deals on Vision 2 goggles, or Vision 1s. But it's just, if you look at this product in the cold light of day, we are getting a Cinewoop, which has less features for more money. And I'll be honest, I will be looking very closely at all the reviews to see who actually says that, because it doesn't matter how good that image quality is. It's not going to be better than the Mavic 3 Pro. It's not going to be better than a Mini 3. It's got a battery with 20 minutes flight time and it's got GPS. It's a ducted
It's not 20
drone.
minutes. It's less
it's
than
not.
20 minutes.
Yeah. It's a ducted drone. Why is this costing so much? It should be cheaper than the current FPV drone. It should be about $400. This is old technology here. There is nothing new in this.
And it's a pusher, so it will be loud
I know
as well.
why.
It is loud.
I know why.
Go on then.
Because the ducts are gonna protect the props.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be breaking props, so they have to
Make
get
them-
their margin from something.
I've broken props on my tiny whoop on my Foxeer.
Well,
I broke a prop.
you don't have the DJI one with the unbreakable ducts.
Yeah.
It is. I tell you what, they do look like they've learned. The product looks very modular, and I suspect
That's
they
what I was
will
gonna
make
say.
every part available, and they have clearly learned that people didn't half smash the FPV drone to bits, and they probably don't want to be dealing with all of that after sales mess. So it looks like they've learned from it, which is a good thing. If people can replace parts, that's always a good thing as a person who supports right to repair. But I do think, someone just wrote it in the chat. Someone said that they are fooling you into thinking you are getting an FPV experience. And that is exactly what they're doing. Because you can buy a good, ready-to-fly FPV quad for about $300-400. And okay, that doesn't include an action cam.
But you've got to know what that is. You've got to have enough knowledge to know that you're buying that thing. Whereas 99% of the people that move into that world, DJI, mate, it'll be easy to fly, I'll buy that. And that's where they're getting their premium, isn't it?
Yeah, this will be for Mavic users. They will be. The first FPV drone was 100% aimed at Mavic users because I saw the KOL documents. So I sat down and spoke to them before I pulled out of it. And their marketing pitch was Mavic users who want an FPV experience. That didn't really work. So I think they're going in again. And if you look at the videos that have been shown, they're showing you people on motorbikes. So they'll be aiming this at people whose name's Brad and people who go surfing or if you're into dirt biking and there's a reason they're selling this predominantly with a motion controller. That tells you everything you need to know there. And it is bloody loud, Bruce. I don't know if you saw the videos.
I didn't see the video of it. Yeah, you can't get around that with a pusher. You can't get around loud noises. And that's not going to be good for flying around people. That's going to scare people. People are scared enough. And also it's going to attract attention. If you get on your own with this drone and you've got goggles on and no spotter, you're probably going to get mugged even with that remote ID.
It just helps the system. Let me try and share this video. Doesn't at any point, Mark, in the video, does it show it in use? Does it show it doing its thing? Or is it just
no, it doesn't, unfortunately. No, it doesn't show it in use, but it does describe it, and you can see it. So,
we can see
hilarious.
it. That's good enough. Just being able to see it, I think. So here it is, the Irish. Where is it? There it is. So that is the blade chopping flight termination device. Swings up.
I've seen that before. Yeah.
Why not just a little bit of C4 to do the whole damn thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fragment it. The little bits won't hurt.
And as you say,
this
that's
these
Sorry, go on,
devices have to be fitted if you're flying in the specific category. Okay, so this is what category. So, like our PDR 801, if you were flying to that and we had gone down the route of EASA, you would have ended up having to fit these to our aircraft. And I don't see how any aviation authority can say this with a straight face, to be honest, because it's not good. You can quite clearly see there that, look at the top left where the battery is not sat correctly inside the Mavic 2 there. That is to me, these devices would almost get you done under 241 in the UK just because of the way they fit and what they do.
Yeah.
They are just terrible things. And when you go to look at the M300 device there, or the M200, it actually goes in and the batteries can't lock into position as they should do. It's absolutely scary.
the where is GPS in the Mavic?
It's on top, so that device is actually near as damn it on top of the GPS. I actually think it's above the camera. Ian
That's
might know
good,
more than me. I think it's more above the camera, but it's not far from it. Ian's on mute, so he's talking to himself.
It's about in that middle area, you know, that big open space. That's roughly where
in
it
the
is.
front.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What is this supposed to do? This is the first I'm seeing this thing.
So this is called a flight termination system. So this is, if your aircraft flies away, it's considered that you have an independent way of stopping the aircraft being able to fly anywhere. And when was the last time anyone saw a DJI aircraft actually not return home or just land where it is if it loses its signal? I don't recall the last time I saw a problem with a DJI product. I've cursed myself now. I know I have, but I don't remember the last time.
Just chopping the props just strikes me as a nuts idea.
How does it work? What does it do exactly?
So you can push a button that's not on the controller. So it's nothing to do with the DJI hardware.
Okay.
You push a button, and then the image on the top right, these metal pieces spring out. And what they do is they literally, the props as they spring, self-destroy against these metal pieces. So literally the prop goes from being like a 9-inch prop to like a 2-inch prop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, come on, a shotgun's far more versatile, quick, and easy to use.
Doesn't work at long range though.
Well, the thing is, if it goes out of range, these things will trigger. And if it triggers on the ground or in the flight by accident, or someone pushes the button by mistake, that's it, game over. These are not safe. But EASA, the amazing people at EASA who know so much about drones and safety, went, this is a good idea.
Yeah, I think that
So
one
what
at the
they're
top
saying
is the Para Zero one. I think people are talking about in the comments. I think that is the Para Zero one there. I never realised it chopped the props. I never realised it did that.
Does it pop a chute after that, does it?
No, it just ejects the 4 pieces. This one doesn't have a chute. They talk about chutes in another one. If there's another part to the video where they talk about it and having chutes.
Oh, he just talks about it, but doesn't.
It's not in this video clip. The chutes are in another piece.
Okay. Well, I suppose it's going to be sort of spoken about. But
Shotgun. Shoot shotgun.
Shoot shotgun, yeah. It does strike me as madness. Just madness. Madness, I tell you, madness.
It just makes no sense, though, to have these systems. I find it astounding that you have to have this now in the EASA categories. So, and you know, I know everyone says that because of Brexit, we should have stayed in this, that, and the other. If there's one good thing that's come out of it, you don't have to fit that crap to our aircraft. And that sounds a bit harsh, but I am so grateful I do not have to put that on my aircraft.
The more you have, the more you have to go wrong.
4K videos, it crashes. Exactly. Nothing wrong with that. So, look, what else have we seen? Is there anything else we've seen this week?
No, as you said, it's been quiet.
It has. And Nicola, what have you?
Too quiet.
Yeah, but it's
Did you find your plane, Nicola?
But what were you flying?
No.
I've forgotten what you're flying now, and you had problems with. I've forgotten the
The
video. My
Swan.
apology.
No, actually, with the new parts that arrived, I taped them together to avoid another such issue like last time, and I was able to complete 2 full flights without it falling apart.
Oh, that's very
Even
good. And
even
you've got one of
managed
the
to
tail
even
sitters, haven't
managed to
you?
do a full range test on the system.
Still using that fancy HD system, or have you gone back to good old analog?
No, it's using the SkyDroid H12 system, which includes a remote, a receiver, and a camera. I think they're using the camera that comes with that system, and actually surprised me quite a lot. Yeah, that one.
That one.
The sticks look
Yeah.
a bit different because it's HEQ branded, but
Okay.
it's that one. Yeah,
So did they send you the one that they are?
it's a bit
doing
rough.
a-
The
But they're
the
doing
video
a-
quality is not, you know, 720p, but it does work out to quite the distance.
Yeah,
I'm
but did they
impressed.
sell you the one that they're doing the Kickstarter on? Have you seen that they're
The
doing a
Voyager.
Kickstarter? Is that the Voyager? I don't know. I've lost track
They
of which
told me
which
about
one it
some
was.
Kickstarter. I think it's the Voyager now, the one with the gimbal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one, yeah,
okay.
that's the new one.
So they didn't send you the new one.
Well,
That's
not yet.
Yeah, and I was quite surprised when you opened up the. Well, I suppose I didn't have to be surprised, but it was very, very simple when you opened up the legs and saw the wiring and all that in there. I don't know. I thought it would be a bit tidier, I suppose. But I don't know. I don't know what
Well,
I
the
expected.
ESCs being in the main body kind of simplifies things and makes that motor module as a spare part cheaper than if the ESCs were in there as well. Also, cooling for them would have been an issue.
Hmm. Hmm.
Not that they get a lot of cooling in the body. I'm not sure there are any air inlet holes. At least I can't recall. Maybe there
Yeah,
are.
I'm surprised that machine hasn't sold better. It probably just doesn't have the payload. Do you get the sense it could carry a little bit more, or is that's where it is, just flying?
Well, in the nose, there's that foam piece with 2 lead weights in it. So I'm assuming plus or minus a few tens of grams of that would be what's advisable to add on there. So, any run-of-the-mill 4K camera, DJI Osmo Action, GoPro 10, 11, 20, or whatever.
Hmm.
But anything more than that, I'm not sure. Perhaps if you open up the belly so you can put it right around the CG in plane mode, maybe it will be okay to carry
Yeah.
something a bit heavier. But I think even in their mapping version, the mapping camera is in the nose, but it's integrated. It's not like strapping on like an action camera.
Hmm.
But people, judging from the comments, people seem to think that the OMF something Vito, the one with the swinging motors, and also the Hewing T1 Ranger conversions are a somewhat of a better, I don't know, project than this. I'm not sure what the OMF thing is price wise compared to the Swan, but it is pretty convenient if they can get it to not fall apart even without having to tape it. That would be even better. I'm hoping they would have come up with some, simple and easy to use but still effective locking mechanism for the Voyager, for the wings and the motor modules, because while the right one goes in with some effort, the left one is just like you can just drop it on top and it will slide onto the spar and lock into place, but lock into place. You blow on it and it starts to come out. So when I received the spare ones, actually the second time I received the spare ones. I tried it a few times, and only then I noticed just how easy it is to push in and pull out. So maybe that's what happened. I taped all of it before my next flight, and was all good.
Yeah, rekitting is never popular, is it? It's never the
But
best thing.
but I think if we're talking as close as possible to what DJI might do with a plane, I think this is it.
Yes,
Removing
agree.
removing the
I agree.
complication of swinging motors, removing the complication of
Yes, flying
servos and
surfaces.
push
Yeah.
rods and all of that.
Yeah,
I understand that some people might think, or subjectively, the T1 Ranger conversions and the OMF thingy, which looks pretty much identical, I think, to the T1 Ranger, might be better working in some situations, but in terms of DJI style simplicity, I think this is pretty close to the mark. It's pretty much a Phantom with wings. I did ask them, and they actually confirmed that these are Phantom 3 motors. I'm not sure. Yeah, but funny thing is, it doesn't like the Phantom 3 props, because I did try that, and it acted very weirdly. And then at some point it said, autopilot's detecting some weird behavior. I'm reverting back to hover mode. So it just swapped back to hover and went out of fixed wing mode. So I put back its original props and flew perfectly.
No, it's got legs. I think that thing. It's got potential, and I was surprised we haven't. They've been around for at least 18 months now, so I'm surprised we haven't seen more iterations of them. I really am. I thought it was. I picked it wrong, and I think I thought it was going to be a very successful platform.
Well, looks
or
to have
somebody would get it.
potential, so guess we will see.
There are a couple of really big commercial ones like that now, with no flying surfaces, and as you say, it does make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing your next your taped up videos and all that. Then
Should be soon.
very good. So with that, then going once, going twice. Anyone else seen anything else before we go?
So
Good luck. Go on, mate. Sold, exactly.
So
Bruce, good luck tomorrow. I suppose that won't help a jot, will it? But stick it to them. I know you will. Is there going to be upgraded Hearlink in the future? There's no Chinese SoC, Mitchell, in the Hearlink. Is that right, Ian? That's right. Isn't it? There isn't Chinese stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the chipset is made by Xiaomi. Chances are no, because there is no US chipset that really can do what.
Doesn't
that
it just
can
have a
do.
smartphone in it?
Yeah, that's it.
All chipsets are Chinese. Taiwanese, to be correct, is where the chipset is.
Do not confuse the two. There's a big distinction if you live in Taiwan.
There's a reason why close to everything is using chipsets from that neck of the woods, because no one else is doing it.
There will be now, because they've just given them X billion for setting up chip places, haven't they, in America?
It's not that, though. No, it's a market no one wants. Qualcomm, I know someone who's approached Qualcomm on trying to. Their chipsets are capable, but they have zero interest in opening up their hardware to what would need to be done to get what we have. It's not that it's not capable, but you're going to Qualcomm and saying, can you open up your IP so we can mess with the very base levels of LTE baseband, please? And they're sort of going, no, we're not going to do that. And the Chinese market is. And that's why DJI has what they have. That's why we now have this avatar system here. And that's why we have what we have in the Hearlink. The interesting thing, I'll finish on this one, is that the Hearlink, the DJI system, and the avatar system, the core chipsets processing power is all by the same company. The modems are all by the same company. And there's a reason for that, and that's because the Chinese government have pushed for that technology.
Absolutely. And on that note, because I did say go once, go twice, I'm going to do it again. Again, good luck, Bruce. Go once, go twice.
Bombshell.
It's a bombshell. Yeah, on that bombshell. That's right.
Is there a number? Are you looking for another number?
No, I'm not looking for another number. Look after yourself,
Sure.
everyone. See you all next week. Cheers, mate. Bye.